Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for September 24th, 2024. First off, today we're going to go to soapcentral.com to read an article about garments. I don't know about you, but I love hearing about garments from people who have never experienced wearing them. It says, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has been surprising its viewers since it aired. What has caught the audience's attention now is the clothing style of these women. In the fourth episode, the women travel to Utah for Macy's birthday celebration. While unpacking, Jen Affleck realizes she forgot to bring them and becomes upset. Initially, it appeared as though she was referring to regular clothing, but she explained that these garments hold symbolic significance, representing her bond with her faith after marriage. A Betches report from September 10, 2024 mentioned that Mormon garments aren't regular underwear or panties, as some might assume. They absolutely are not. Referred to as temple garments, they resemble a combination of a t-shirt and long shorts. The garments for men and women are quite similar, with the women's version designed to provide chest support. I have never needed chest support, so those women out there who do, please tell me whether or not that's true. Do the women's garments provide more chest support? A typical Mormon garment is white, and these garments are meant to be worn underneath everyday clothing. It is important to note that these garments are a reminder of the commitment to one's Mormon faith and its covenants. However, not everyone wears them, as they must be worn only when a person reaches a certain level of worthiness in the church. It might take me some time to unpack that statement. I'd actually never considered it that way. It is only then that wearing these garments becomes mandatory at all times, except during bathing, sexual activity, or exercise. The garments are reportedly not the most comfortable option to wear under clothing. I can attest to that. They might just be the most uncomfortable thing to wear underneath clothing. However, since people usually wear something over them that covers the garments, they promote a more modest style of dress. And there are whole clothing companies dedicated to helping Mormon women cover up their garments, and so that they can then wear clothing that other people might wear that is less modest. These garments are worn by adult Mormons who have made sacred commitments to adhere to God's commandments in the temple. According to Jen Affleck, these promises are made during special ceremonies intended to deepen members' connection to God or when getting married in the temple. However, in a Women's Health report from September 6, 2024, she likened wearing garments to a wedding ring, stating that both serve as reminders of the promises made. While the church has guidelines regarding when to wear these garments, stating that members should wear them every day, Jen mentioned that it was more of a personal choice. I don't know that I've ever heard of someone getting disfellowshipped or excommunicated because they weren't wearing their garments, but I wouldn't say that the prophets and apostles think it's a personal choice. I wish I had thought it was a personal choice when I was a true believing member. Although she did not wear them all the time, she decided to do so while shooting for the Hulu series. That is so interesting to me. She was not wearing her garments, and then she knew she was going on national television, and so she decided to put them on for the show. Before the shoot began, she committed to wearing her garments throughout the series because she valued the reminders they provided. If she valued the reminders that they provided, why didn't she wear them when they weren't filming? This decision was beneficial for her, even though within group settings the garments sometimes clashed with her love for fashion. She expressed that there were many occasions when she wanted to wear something alluring or more revealing, but found herself torn between the two. At present, Jen no longer wears them, as she feels she no longer needs those reminders. Good for you, Jen. I actually found it easier to focus on things when I wasn't wearing the garments, because when I was wearing them, a lot of times I was focused on them, whether or not they were peeking out of my clothing at a neckline or something, and how they made me feel in my body. They often didn't fit quite right in the waist area, so I felt like I was pulling and pushing and retucking them all the time. Not having that distraction has allowed me to feel a lot better in my body and not have to focus so much on what my clothing is doing during the day. The article finishes by saying, however, this does not reflect a lack of faith. Jen explained that some followers might question her devotion because of not wearing the Mormon garments, but she clarified that her decision is personal and not a reflection of her commitment to the faith. There are absolutely going to be those people who judge her for not wearing her garments. I would have been one of them. And I really think that judgment would have come from a place of jealousy. And now to the BYU subreddit for a post with the title, Dating Life for Those Not Planning on a Mission. The man says, I don't plan on serving a mission. How does that affect dating life at BYU? Let's read through some of the responses. One person said, I can speak from my experience 10 years ago. It was bad, really bad. The mission stigma at BYU seems to have gotten better over time, but I don't know how much it may have improved and can't speak from personal experience later. The next person says, speaking from my experience 5 years ago, this hasn't changed, although I did date a few here and there, but forget about any serious relationship. And then someone says, also at BYU about 10 years ago, and I would never have dated someone who didn't serve a mission. I know that's crappy. It's how I was raised. I've dated people who haven't served missions since then because I've left the church. This one says, if you're trying to date active members, it will definitely have a negative effect. Harsh but true. If you have a really good reason for not serving, that will alleviate it somewhat. That being said, it's not totally hopeless. My cousin just married a guy in the temple who never served a mission, so it does happen. My freshman girlfriend's parents convinced her to break up with me when they found out I had been medically excused from serving a mission despite being told I was still completely worthy. I really dodged a bullet there, but it still left me scarred for a long time. This one says you'll have a harder time, definitely. There will be many people who will outright reject you. Sorry to say, but it's the reality. This next one includes a little preaching. Might be tougher from 18 to 21. I think more people are open to it than the past, but this won't matter as much once you get to your mid-20s, though you might be done with college at that point if you choose not to serve. I would say to keep your mind open to the possibility of serving when heading to Provo for school, even if your current plan is to not serve. There's so many more options of how a mission can look today than 30 years ago. Here's one that quotes the BYU newspaper. On September 21st, 2009, the Daily Universe published this letter. Mission doesn't make the man. The other day I was eating lunch in the Cannon Center when I overheard a conversation between two freshman girls at a nearby table. One of the girls mentioned that her sister was getting married to a guy back home who had enlisted right after school. I almost choked when I heard the other girl's response. You mean they're letting her marry him even though he didn't serve a mission? I'm sorry to break this to you, but the mission does not make the man. I've known just as many scummy RMs as I've known great guys who for some reason or another did not serve missions. I served a mission myself, been back over 2 years actually, and I can honestly say that my mission didn't change me or make me a better person. The experience alone of having served a mission does not make you a more spiritual or hardworking guy. That's something that has to come from within. My advice to any single young woman would be to not look for returned missionaries, but simply to look for men who have the specific attributes you want in an eternal companion. The publication sparked a controversy on campus, with many people writing messages of support of this sentiment. Others condemned it as apostate. Not serving a mission may turn off some girls, but I know there are quite a few who will look past that. For what it's worth, per this poll on our Mutual app, only one of the 15 female respondents said that not being an RM is a flat-out deal breaker. And here's another. You'll find that because of things like COVID and the alterations to folks' missions, there's a lot more sympathy for folks who have different faith experiences, but you are putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're trying to date in a ward or someone who came to BYU looking for a partner both romantically and spiritually. The baseline for the nice guys in the dating pool is an active return missionary. While not going on a mission makes you stand out, it also makes folks think twice about you, and that may be enough to make the dating situation more challenging. Some things that would help. If you're an active member and have not taken out your endowment, do so. This shows commitment to the faith. You've already committed to living most of these in answering the questions in your ecclesiastical endorsement. Staying active too is a good sign as well, and fulfilling callings also gives the signal you are committed to the faith. Carefully adhere to the honor code, especially grooming. Your appearance can often be a measure of how serious you take your commitments and how committed you might be to your future companion. Your appearance, oh wow, signifies how serious and committed you might be to your future companion. Okay. Make sure to be upfront and honest about why you chose not to serve a mission. And if it is not because you are unworthy, that goes a long way to build a foundation of trust. Consider waiting until you leave the BYU singles wards, or look for wards closer to UVU where folks might be more willing to date someone who doesn't fit the mold. Now, it may seem cruel or heartless that they won't date you because of your status as an RM or not, but as they believe their relationships are eternal, they're looking for the right person. Unfortunately, at BYU, that means any perceived incompatibility means they'll move on because they're in a proverbial sea of eligible return missionaries who will fulfill what they are looking for. There are many reasons not to serve a mission. Maybe you're here on a student visa and going on a mission would lose you that visa. Maybe you have anxiety or other neurodiversity that would make being a missionary difficult. There are, of course, service missions, and apparently they can even date. Well, some folks have told me they could. All of these require communication and honesty as you approach a relationship, but you have an uphill path and will have to build relationships through building friendships and getting to know folks in a way that they can understand why you are where you are. I wish you the best of luck and hope you find happiness. This next one is from a female. I'm a female who graduated in April April and dated quite a bit at BYU, I would not have, and still won't, date a guy who didn't serve a mission unless he became active again when he was already too old or if it was a circumstance completely outside his control. Following the prophet is very important to me, and I don't want to date anyone who doesn't agree with that. I want someone with similar standards to me, just to give you some female perspective. And now we will go to KOCO.com for an article about giving machines. Oklahoma City residents can now help those in need through new giving machines at Scissortail Park. It's a vending machine that instead of getting something, you're giving something, Susie Saltmeyer, the Giving Machines coordinator, said. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is bringing these machines to Oklahoma for the first time as part of their Light the World campaign. It started in 2017 with one machine. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints came up with the idea of a fun and easy way to give to charities, Saltmeyer said. From December 18th through January 4th, 3 big red vending machines will be set up at Scissortail Park behind the iconic feather sculpture. We will have items ranging in there from $5 to $200. We have GED packages for women trying to get their GED. We have bus passes. We have infant packages that include formula, diapers, wipes. This year, the church chose to support Pivot, the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, Remerge, New View, and Infant Crisis Services. If you press 777, all the cards will drop and you get one of each. The total on that is $1,905. The LDS Church expressed confidence in Oklahoma City's support for the initiative. It took a lot of paperwork and convincing that we're a good city and a good match, and we knew that with the Oklahoma way that everyone would embrace it and gain momentum, and it has. Everyone is ecstatic about it. Last year, they were in 60 cities, and they did about $10.5 million. This year, they're going to be in 180 locations. Can you imagine how much more good the church could do if they matched every donation? And now back to Reddit, this time to the LDS subreddit, for a post that says, "My mom left the church a few months ago." This is from a 16-year-old female. "I'm still here, but I really don't like Sundays because family time just consists of her ranting about how bad it is and why we should all just go to the non-denominational church she found. I'm already depressed and she works full-time and I rarely get to spend time with her. And when I do, the topic always turns to religion. And when I tell her I don't want to hear about it, she gets offended. She gets offended really easily. I'm not even sure what I'm asking for help with. I just need to share my situation with someone. Please talk to me." To which someone responded, "What a stressful situation to be in. For full transparency, I'm a deconstructed Mormon myself, but never would I go around preaching my newfound insight. I have huge respect for people believing how they want to. That said, your mom clearly is going through her own journey. You are not wrong for loving your faith and mourning the loss of your mom sharing that faith with you. I wonder if your mom would be more receptive to focusing on shared beliefs. If she is still spiritual, then perhaps there's still common grounds. She can continue to learn about church history and have her opinions about the people, but ultimately, I imagine the teachings are not what she has a problem with. It's not easy to be in a place where your parental figures don't support your journey. I hope that you can continue to exercise boundaries when it comes to religion. Maybe, big maybe, you can show her some support by going to church with her ever so often, but only if you feel your mom is making an effort to support you and your needs. Big hugs, all the best to you." That response then got deleted, and the person who wrote it got this message. "Hello, you've been permanently banned from participating in RLDS because your comment violates this community's rules. You won't be able to post or comment, but you can still view and subscribe to it. If you have a question regarding your ban, you can contact the moderator team by replying to this message." They responded with, "I'm confused. Which rule did I violate? I'm wanting to understand how my recent comment violated the rules. I do not perceive what I wrote as promoting anything against the church. I very much want the 16-year-old to continue in her faith and giving her an idea of how to establish boundaries with her mother." To which a moderator responded, "Pretty sure our first rule states that this is a sub for faithful members to discuss topics amongst themselves. There are plenty of subs that allow for the blending between faithful members, nuanced members, deconstructed members, ex-Mormons, etc. So I then went to rule number 1, and this is what it says. 1. Content should be faithful. If you're critical of the church or its leaders here or anywhere else on Reddit, please find a different subreddit to participate in. All participation should be faithful and respectful respectful toward Latter-day Saints and their beliefs. Dissenting views are more appropriate in other subreddits. Participation should reflect a genuine attempt to promote faithfulness in the LDS Church. If this is not one of your core values, please have enough integrity to withhold participation. This censoring of someone who made a really respectful comment reminded me of a passage from Luna Lindsay Corbden's book, Recovering Agency, that talks about Milieu Control. Let's read that. It says, exposure to the outside world can cause regular cognitive dissonance for members of a totalist system, the kind of dissonance that can lead the member away from the group. Some groups solve this by physically isolating members from all outsiders, while others merely limit access and reframe information. If you can control the environment, you control the very perception of reality. This technique is called Milieu Control. Lifton called this the most basic feature of the thought reform environment, the psychological current upon which all else depends, the control of human communication. Through this milieu control, the totalist environment seeks to establish domain over not only the individual's communication with the outside, all that he sees and hears, reads or writes, experiences, and expresses, but also in its penetration of his inner life, over what we may speak of as his communication with himself. It creates an atmosphere uncomfortably reminiscent of George Orwell's 1984. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.